I want to start by saying how happy I am to hear and see all of you who are here today. I'm kind of impressed with the group we have. I see Mayor Tim Hepburn walking into the room, so we're glad to see him. We have Wendy Lau, also on the City Council of the City of Laverne. We have our historical person from the City of Laverne. The City of Laverne is very, very well represented today. Sherry Best, right? I forgot to put the historian's name there, so that's great. I also see that we have a volunteer from the City of Laverne, Julie Cosgrove. Julie, I'm not sure what you volunteer to do in the city. She volunteers to hike. Laverne, there's a hiking. Laverne has a hiking group, and she handles the hiking on every Saturday, which I am told she has done for 25 years. So I really only have one announcement. Is there anybody else I should introduce? Anybody else who wants to be introduced? I thought I might just point out who our board members are here today. I'm Barbara Nickel, and I'm president. Rachel Forrester, who's handling the computer over there, is a director. Gina, her last name just left me, who is our secretary. Jerry Classic is one of our directors. And you all know Barbara Rugeley, who handles all of our observers, and she does a fabulous job. Let's have a round of applause specifically for her. So before we start with the observers, I just have really one announcement. And that is on July 16th, we are having an event in the Padua room at the Hughes Center in Claremont about zero waste. And what's going to happen there is we're going to learn from a woman whose name is Cheryl Auger, who teaches people about plastic. She does a lot of legislative work to help people figure out how to reduce plastic and what happens to our plastic. She's going to teach us all about that. So that's going to be on July 16th at the Padua room at the Hughes Center at 2 o'clock. And because she's talking about zero waste, we want it to be a zero waste event. So we're going to have snacks for you, but they're going to be sort of zero waste. So if you want water, you have to bring your own cup, right? So we don't have any waste cups. And you can eat our snacks, but if you want a napkin or something, you have to bring your own. Okay, we're not providing very much. We will provide water, and that's, and a few little snacks. So who do I introduce first, Barbara?
Me.
Barbara Rugeley.
I'm Barbara Rugeley. I'm a director for the Observer Corps, and I'm grateful to have all of you here, including especially the observers themselves. The Observer Corps mission is it's a structured way for individuals to exercise their right to know about their city and their community. They help ensure that citizens are aware of the decisions that are being made, and they promote government transparency and accountability. Ideally, observers are monitoring both the issues that are being discussed, but also the way in which they're being handled. Observers should not provide any comments at the meetings they observe. They are not there to pursue a partisan or personal agenda, and they are ready to give their reports once a year. And the first person up is going to be the Laverne representatives. We have two observers, Gwen Carr and Carrie Coolbaugh.
If you announce to the people on Zoom that they can put questions.
Oh, thank you. I had forgotten that. So please, in the chat, if you could ask any of your questions, we'd be grateful to have them, and we will answer them at the end of the entire session. So keep notes, please. Thank you.
Hi, y'all. City of Laverne City Council. Our website is cityoflaverne.org. Does this sound good?
Push it up.
Push it up.
Yeah.
Thank you. As elected representatives of its citizens, the city council develops and establishes ordinance and policies in the best interest of the city. There are approximately 19,000 registered voters, and the election process is an important element of the city's democratic process. Current mayor is Tim Hepburn. Thank you for coming. District 4. Mayor Pro Tem is Rick Crosby, District 2. Councilmember Wendy M. Lau, District 5. Thank you for coming. Michelle Cashelfagita is District 3. Councilmember Stephen F. Johnson is District 1. Johnson and Cashelfagita were elected on November 8th, 2022. District assignments are new and consistent with California guidelines. Ken Domer is city manager, J.R. Rennell's assistant city manager, Kimberly Hall Barlow, city attorney, Colleen Flores, police chief, Christopher Nigg, fire chief. The city manager and city attorney accepted their positions in January of 2023. Council generally meets the first and third Monday of each month at 6:30 in City Hall. Agendas were available beforehand and followed during the meetings, which began on time. The mayor was respectful of those giving public comments, but also in limiting comments, which recognize the value of everyone's time. There are several accomplishments of the council. They formed districts, divided them among the council members, and created boundaries. Johnson, a newly elected council member, ran on the single issue of restoring your vote against districting. The Los Angeles City website posted FAQ on districting in Laverne, explaining the city's position of following the California Voting Rights Act. District boundaries are consistent with the census reports and are realigned every 10 years. The interactive map of districts is available on the city website. This issue should be considered in the light of the League of Women Voters' national position on redistricting. Another accomplishment was the progress on the general plan, specifically the 2021 to 2029 housing element, which is submitted to the State Department of Housing and Community Development. Amanda Trapiano, principal of the De Novo Planning Group, has been the public face of this progress and reports that Laverne is in compliance with state requirements. Regional Housing Needs Allocation, or HNA, continues to be controversial. In summary, the League of Women Voters at the state and local level have positions supporting affordable housing. CCW, the Carry Concealed Weapons Permits, brought 30+ speakers. At issue was reducing costs for permits by eliminating psychological evaluations. The final vote was to maintain the evaluations. Observations from Gwen and myself. There are large turnouts of citizens when there are proclamations and recognitions. The Chamber of Commerce, the County Public Library, and the Laverne Historical Society, thank you, make periodic reports. Our assessment is the council is following governmental standards. It operates transparently, welcomes public input, and members appear to be well prepared. Council and staff behave in a professional and courteous manner, and the coronavirus restrictions have adjusted and continue to allow council and citizen member participation remotely. No issue had to be brought to the league president. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm going to ask that we continue with our city council presentations, and then I'm going to ask if Paula Martinez would would step in and do David Estrada's Tri-City Mental Health Center after those three city councils. Thank you. So the next one up is Melinda Gonzalez from Claremont. And if you'll just follow the program, I won't have to come up here every time.
Okay. I've observed the Claremont City Council since December 2021. 5 members are currently on council: Ed Reese, Jed Liano, Jennifer Stark, Sal Medina, and Corey Kalaikai. Claremont council members were elected at large until 2020, and that was without district boundaries and electing the largest vote getters. Council members Reese, Stark, and Liano were re-elected within their new district boundaries in November 2022. Members of council elect the mayor and mayor at large of the city annually. Mayor Reese and Mayor at large Medina were elected by their fellow members to hold these offices for 2023. And council meets every second and fourth Tuesday of each month. The issues that they have addressed are as follows. The Jamboree Housing Project. This much discussed multi-level housing project providing housing for formerly unhoused persons was approved by the council last year. A proposed grant easement for an additional driveway was placed in front of the council for consideration at a meeting last June. Now, due to ongoing controversy over the project itself, the debate over the driveway ran into the late hours and the proposed easement was voted down by the council. The project, however, continues. An additional issue was the commercial cannabis survey. The council unanimously voted to instruct city staff to pass an ordinance to tax commercial marijuana use and delivery in Claremont. The ordinance, which was approved by city voters in last November's elections, places a tax of 6%, and that was determined by the council after approval of the ordinance in the election on cannabis deliveries, a 4% rate for cannabis manufacturing, 3% for cannabis distribution, and 2% on cannabis research. A 6% tax was approved for retailing of cannabis in Claremont, though retail sale of cannabis is currently prohibited in the city. Retail sale of cannabis in Claremont requires approval of a new zoning ordinance. No such ordinance is currently scheduled for discussion. The council also discussed ADUs. In September, the council was presented by staff with plans for an American Rescue Plan ARPA-funded accessory dwelling unit grant program. As finalized by the council, the program grants up to $20,000 to property owners in the form of a forgivable loan to construct an ADU and continuously rent the ADU at a rental rate of $1,753 for a studio, $2,000 to $2,005 for a 1-bedroom unit, and $2,255 for a 2-bedroom unit to a moderate income renter for no less than 3 years. The city also considered and revised its hotel motel ordinance. In March, the council approved an updated zoning ordinance for the city, proactively covering all hotels and motels. Now, the new ordinance resulted from the large number of nuisance calls received by the police from freeway motels during the pandemic. The new ordinance puts new requirements on any hotel motel guest in the city of Claremont. Any individual authorized to enter a hotel or motel room or receiving a key for a room rental must provide a valid photo ID and valid credit or debit card in order to rent a room in the city. Guests must register the license plate number and the make and model of their vehicles with the hotel or motel. All guest records must be retained by the motel and hoteliers for 4 years. The ordinance, excuse me. The ordinance mandates 18-hour nightly stays at motels. Hotels may make day rentals to business travelers seeking to use their facilities, but this would require application for and issuance of a conditional use permit, a CUP by the Planning Commission. And I should disclose, as a planning commissioner, I voted in favor of the zoning ordinance, advancing it to the agenda of the City Council. The council lastly also considered tenant protection ordinances. In September, the council voted unanimously, with then Mayor Pro Tem Reese abstaining, to adopt an emergency ordinance restricting certain no-fault residential evictions based on their intent to remodel. Now, in May of this year, the council came back they passed a just cause for eviction ordinance permitting evictions of tenants in good standing based on an intent to remodel only if the landlord can show that the proposed remodel is to bring the rental units into compliance with applicable codes and laws affecting the health and safety of tenants. Now, this ordinance passed 3-1 with Mayor Reese abstaining and Councilmember Colacti voting against. Apartment dwellings with 9 units or less are exempt from the ordinance. I should also add that the council declined to act on calls for rent stabilization at this time. Now, I found with regard to adherence to the Brown Act, and discussion encouraged by council that the council adhered carefully to the Brown Act. They gave proper notice with regard to meetings. There were no violations. They encouraged community feedback and discussion at all meetings, even those running into the very late hours. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Marcia Yaros, and this is the report on the City of Glendora City Council. And I think there is a photo of the City Council that can be displayed. Yes. Okay, the Glendora City Council meets on the second and fourth Tuesday of each month with 5 members elected by district who serve 4-year staggered terms of office. Following each election, the Glendora Council selects its leadership. Currently, the mayor is Gary Boyer. Mayor Pro Tem is Mendel Thompson, and serving as council members are Michael Ellis, David Friedendahl, and former Mayor Karen Davis. The City Council also acts as the housing authority and the successor agency to the former Glendora Redevelopment Agency. Key employees who regularly attend council meetings include the city manager, Adam Raymond, city attorney, William Winder, and the city clerk communications director, Kathleen Sessman. Also attending is the Glendora Chief of Police, Matt Egan. Staff appear to be very knowledgeable and very professional. I've been present at 6 of 9 meetings since my initiation in February of this year, and have reviewed the minutes of the 3 meetings I was unable to attend. All council members have attended each meeting and appear fully engaged throughout. Public comment sessions are consistently held, with members of the public treated consistently with respect. Participation by public via Zoom is always possible, and voice votes are taken and recorded on all council motions. Interestingly, nearly all are adopted by 5-0 unanimous votes. Significant issues covered during the regular meetings in this period include outdoor dining permit fees during the Glendora Village Business Improvement District established outdoor dining during the pandemic. Council members listened attentively to numerous negative public comments and changed staff recommendations on the amount and timing of these fees in response to public comments, reducing the fee adopted. There was also a staff comment about establishment of an antique streetlight assessment district with adoption to be pending dependent on a vote by the affected property owners. Another issue is the purchase of a former senior assisted living facility for, quote, assisting with the development of attainable housing for households of varying income levels. Public safety has also been a frequent topic of concern regarding homeless encampments and associated cleanups. And there are also frequently concerns over the maintenance of local character and historic community values, especially with the pending opening of Glendora's Metro Gold Line light rail station. In a special meeting on March 9th, the council updated its strategic plan. The vision statement was revised to the city of Glendora strives to maintain our distinct sense of community values that fosters an environment of innovation, resiliency, safety, sustainability, and and inspiration for everyone. I did note that the word inclusive was dropped from this revision of the vision statement by a non-unanimous vote. The mission statement is that the city of Glendora has a mission to provide its citizens and the business and community effective municipal services while maintaining our historical sense of community values. There's a good discussion concerning the trade-offs between population growth, e.g. denser housing or mixed-use properties, and residents' desires for higher-end businesses, such as a Trader Joe's, fine dining, etc. I attended about half of the 7-hour session. Issues relating to league positions that are likely to appear before the council in the coming year include housing and human needs, especially regarding increased density and supportive services. Briefly, I find this Glendora City Council to be demonstrating good governance in a transparent manner. I'll leave it there. Thank you.
Okay, this is David Estrada's report. He couldn't make it today. Tri-City Mental Health Authority was established in 1960 as a joint powers agreement between the cities of Pomona, Claremont, and Laverne. The agreement recognizes that the authority is in essence the county provider of mental health services to the residents of the 3 cities. Since 2008, the Mental Health Services Act, MHSA, has served as the primary funding source. And in 2004, Proposition 63 provided for funding through the millionaires tax imposed by the voters of California upon those whose income exceeds $1 million. And this has effectively transformed our mental health system to better provide for the underserved members of our community. Pursuant to the Joint Powers Authority, the governing board composes 7 members selected by the respective cities. And you can see the list of people, on the film. The executive staff attending all board meetings included an executive director, a financial officer, clinical officer, medical director, a director of the MHSA and ethics services, and a chief compliance officer. The meetings are scheduled at 5 p.m. on the 3rd Wednesday of the month at their building, their administrative building at 2001 North Gary Avenue in Pomona. And in response to mitigating the spread of COVID, the governing board was holding the meetings via teleconference, but has now recently returned to in-person meetings. Meeting agendas and all supporting documents are published in a timely manner. The board follows appropriate government and meeting standards. Members of the governing board come well prepared and are very engaged in all aspects of the agenda, and members of the public, various administrative staff and frontline workers attend all meetings. The board encourages public comment on any Tri-City related issue. The governing board requires community involvement through an extensive community planning process, which begins in the fall and continues throughout the fiscal year. Community members are engaged in multiple stakeholder meetings MHSA work groups and public hearings. And the annual community planning process survey provides an opportunity for participants to share their feedback regarding possible gaps in service or unmet needs. One example of the Tri-City Mental Health Authority expansion is from a treatment-only service agency to a full system of care recovery model. It's their permanent supportive housing program. They can now offer living spaces to clients who are currently receiving mental health services and their families. And in the cities of Claremont, Laverne, and Pomona. The residential service coordinators are located at these housing sites to offer support and act as liaison between tenants and the property staff. Permanent supportive housing has proven to be a significant part of successful recovery and ultimately reduces the cost of other services. It's a good governmental agency that operates transparently and encourages public participation and collaboration.
Mary Canapiel. I'm representing the Claremont Unified School District School Board. According to the district website, quote, as the policymaking body for the school district, the board is charged with providing the best possible education for the children of the Claremont Unified School District. The reason we exist, igniting curiosity, strengthening resilience, and inspiring excellence to empower each student's academic journey, end quote. There were board elections in November 2022. At the December organizational meeting, the board positions were filed as follows. Kathy Archer, President, Bob Bass, Vice President. They were both will term out in December 2024. Catherine Dunn, Clerk, and Richard O'Neill, Member. It gets a little confusing, so bear with me. And they'll both term out at, will run for re-election if they choose in December 2026. The election in November 2022 was the first by a trustee area vote for the school district. There was one incumbent member and two members who retired from service. Stephen Lanusa won re-election against one other candidate. Catherine Dunn and Richard O'Neill ran unopposed. All were sworn in at the December organizational meeting. During the holiday season, Mr. Lanusa hosted a party where it was deemed inappropriate behavior involving students occurred. The remaining board members reacted by requesting Mr. Lanusa resign his position. He did so, leaving the board with only 4 members. The board had 2 options to proceed to fill the vacant seat. They could appoint an interim member to fill the remaining term, or they could call for a special election. The board chose to fill the empty seat by appointment and called for applications. They received applications from 10 interested community members. The 10 applications were received and met the requirements to serve. After interviews in an open session special meeting, Ms. Hillary LeConte was appointed to the seat. In reaction to the appointment, a group of citizens filed a petition with the county. And as a result, a special election will be held in July 2023 to fill the vacant seat. When the petition was successful, Ms. LeConte was removed from the board, and the position is vacant until the results of the July election are determined. So the board is operating with only 4 members. The superintendent is Dr. Jim Elsasser. There will be some changes in the cabinet with the start of the new year in July. Starting in July 2023, the cabinet will include Dinah Felix as head of business services, Julie Alesnovich, thank you, heads the educational services department. Richard Lopez will be the head of human resources, and Kevin Ward will head student services. The board meets on the 1st and 3rd Thursday of each month. I attended or listened to 14 of the 16 regular meetings and one special meeting of this year. Meetings start on time and the public was able to comment during meetings in person, by Zoom, or by providing written comments. The number of attendants, online is visible on the screen during the meeting and names are listed where available. Attendance varied depending on the agenda items. The average number of persons in the boardroom when the meetings start is about 20. Most often by the end of the meeting, there are fewer than 5. Numbers were larger when a person or persons were being honored. There were people in attendance to speak in person about calling for a special election, requesting diversity and hiring the next assistant superintendent of human resources, teaching sex education in the schools, mental health of students, and recently racial slurs being used on some campuses. At this point in the report, I am supposed to give an assessment about whether the agency is performing in a democratic way. This is a very young board in the sense that the more senior members have just 2 years of experience and the newer members have less than 1 year experience. There are a number of times when the newer members seem a bit lost, which is not unusual at this point in their tenure. The board follows all the rules and no policies are broken. Thank you.
Okay. There we go. Okay, I'm the actual observer for the city of Claremont Planning Commission. And the Planning Commission is the only city commission that is actually required by state law. It advises the city council on all matters dealing with the present and future development of the city in accordance with the values and goals set forth in the city's general plan, based on specified evidentiary-based findings made by the commissioners. You can see the members here. Tom Anderson just resigned. He's moving out of state, so we have a vacancy as of May 9th. City staff is led by Community Development Director Brad Johnson, Senior Administrative Assistant Nia Tienza, and various city planners, interns, and contract planners. Traditionally, the commission meets twice a month, but this past year they met basically once a month, except for July and August when they did not meet. The public may now appear in person or through Zoom, or simply listen to the meeting by telephone. The commission conducts itself under good government standards. It operates transparently, welcomes public input, and the members appear prepared to ask questions and raise their individual concerns. At times, some of the newer commissioners need to be reminded that it's simply land use that is within their purview, not project financing or building design. When there has been an extraordinary amount of input, the commission does not hesitate to continue the matter for the time needed for appropriate review and consideration by staff, commissioners, and the public. Basically, as I said, it's land use decisions that are the purview of the Planning Commission. This year, we've got approval of CUP for alcohol service at 2 new restaurants, Solano's on First Street and La Popular on Yale Avenue. Extended hours at First Amendment Pizza in the College Center Plaza on East Foothill. The old Rhino Records and Video Paradiso site is now approved for upper story residential units and ground floor outdoor seating for future food service. New mixed use buildings were granted COP approval in the 300 block of Harrison, the existing structures being deemed no longer of historic significance. Let's see, we had in, the former Knights Inn is now approved as a CUP and specific plan amendment for a 120 room Residence Inn by Marriott. And another CUP was granted for the relocation of an existing check cashing business at 750 South Indian Hill. The commission also acted on phases 1 through 3 of the Village South specific plan, including besting track maps, parking reduction request, and vacation of a portion of Santa Fe Street. Parking is a perennial issue with any downtown development. The issue which this year garnered the most public input and interest were 3 meetings between October and February, including a joint session with the police commission. And this was the new hotel motel ordinance, which Melinda talked about, that the city council finally acted on. It was sought to help solve the prostitution, drug use, and trafficking problems surrounding the motels adjoining Indian Hill and the 10 freeway. And finally, just this past week on June 6th was a public hearing for the commission's recommendation to the city council of a belated general plan amendment, housing element update 2021 through 2029, and related environmental impact report. The city was under a court-ordered deadline of July 31st. Hopefully they'll make it. And the staff report was very lengthy, comprising 580 pages. Not something you want to read at bedtime. But the meeting only lasted 3 hours, so it wasn't too bad. Thank you.
My report is for the mission called Claremont Community and Human Services. Their purpose is to advise the city council on matters of maintenance of the city property and on the activities for the citizens. Dirk Silva is chair, Deborah Scott II vice chair, Nancy Brower, Greg Glass, Lee Kane, Krishna Tikia, and Lisa Cifuentes are the council persons. The city 4th of July, this is happy stuff. The city 4th of July celebration will have fireworks this year. It'll be at the Straley Park in Pomona College. Last year, the celebration had been held for free at Memorial Park without fireworks, partially due to the route, but also influenced by concerns about that vendor. Fortunately, before the unprecedented rainy season, the city repaired several roofs along city, although City Hall is still to be scheduled for roofing. Happy to hear CBO grants were available again. The commission efficiently made selections by November 2nd, 2022. Public comments. Several citizens voiced concern about a mitigation plan to remove annually up to 150 street trees, Italian stone pines, red ironbark, eucalyptus, and canary island. Thank you. Sorry, I appreciate that. Canary Island pines. There was quite an uproar over that plan, and it had to be pulled off of the council agenda altogether. The main complaint was there needs to be more community involvement. There needs to be an opportunity for evaluation, and mostly the group that does the evaluation of what needs to be removed shouldn't be the group that's going to get the commitment in the money. Third-party evaluation is what's going to come up. A citizen request for an adult soccer field was referred to the sports committee, which denied the request due to lack of lighted fields and established priority to provide fields for youth soccer. Should we consider more fields, more lighted fields? The pickleball court at Wheeler Park garnered public complaints for its noise and late hours, and it is getting used. Claremont Hills Wilderness Park received so few public survey responses on their July 2021 online QR fancy code site that an in-person survey is now being conducted. Did you know that organic recycling program has a mandatory inspection once a year? And this year's test area had 44% contamination of organic or plastic waste in the black trash only cans. Between 2020 and 2022, the homeless count in Claremont was up from 17 to 26. We still have an urban forest of 25,700 trees worth $92 million. Jocelyn Center has only 2 full-time positions. There is a need for more. This year, the spring egg hunt included a separate area and time for handicapped and very young children. It was a very positive experience. My conclusion is the commissioners show interest and enthusiasm for their assignment, asking challenging questions and showing appreciation for the good work by staff and volunteers. Commissioner Glass is an ardent supporter of the Claremont Hills Wilderness Park, prompting the in-person survey to be done every 2 years per the master plan. My suggestions are, could the city lower the computers in the council chambers so that the public can view their entire faces? We no longer have a mask ordinance, but we still see only their eyes. Could the city's YouTube channel minimize the PowerPoint slides and maximize the view of the commissioners? Could the city supply online photos of the commissioners themselves? These measures might enhance our connection with our various representatives. Thank you. So now who's you? That's you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm here as an observer of the Claremont Architectural Commission and with my report. The purpose of this agency is to review plans for developments, building alterations, signs, and landscaping to ensure proposed projects conform to city codes and standards. The commission meets on the 2nd and 4th Wednesday of each month at 7 p.m. Okay. The commission members, John Niebuhr, who's the chairperson. Other members, Lisa Castillo, Juan Severa, Frank Perez, and Georgianne Spirak. The staff, the commission staff, Brad Johnson, Community Director Development, Christopher Veers, Principal Planner, and Carissa Roque, Administrative Assistant, and Melissa Sanabria, Administrative Assistant. I became an observer in January of 2023, and since I have become an observer between January 25th and May 24th, 2023, there have been 8 meetings scheduled. Of those 8 meetings scheduled, 6 were canceled because of lack of business. I attended 2 meetings, 2/15/23 and 3/29/23, and I did not attend 5/24/23 because of being out of town. All meetings have been properly noticed and start on time and are orderly. Based upon the comments and discussions among the commission members, they all seem prepared, had done their homework, and had a comprehensive understanding of the city codes and city standards. They all seem to have a deep understanding of the history of the architectural protocols in Claremont. Audience attendance seemed to primarily be the people who have business before the commission at the time. This has been my observation in the few meetings that I've attended. The meetings are conducted completely in compliance with the Brown Act requirements. Agendas were sent out 72 hours before meetings, and cancellations were done in an orderly and timely manner. The major issues covered in the 2 meetings that I attended, one on 2/15/23, there was a review of a new two-story single residence located at 631 Blanchard Place. The applicant presented a plan, entertained questions and from the commission and comments from the commission and staff. There were public comments from the audience regarding this plan that this couple had. The commission made a decision in reference to the property, and their decision was that the plan would be put on hold until they could come up with another format. The format did not necessarily comply with the characteristics of that particular neighborhood. On the 29th of March, 2023, the architectural and site plan review for new 120 residents in by Marriott on the site of the existing 55-room motel at 721 South Indian Hill, which had been previously Nights Inn. That was lots of people there commented on that in the neighborhood, and that was approved by the Architectural Commission. In the two meetings that I've attended, and my conclusion is that the commission works effectively for the city of Claremont and with respect for the applicants and the residents of the city. Thank you.
I think we have time for some public questions, if there are any in the room first or online, please.
My question is for the city council observers. I've been at city council meetings that have gone past midnight, past 1 a.m. Actions being taken at 1:45 in the morning in Claremont. And I'm wondering if that is the practice that the other city councils that are here, or at what point those kind of discussions should be continued, because it is an accessibility issue when you have to work the next day or you can't stay awake until 1:45 in the morning for that action. So I'm just wondering, like, just a quick comparison, if that's a fair question.
Can anybody comment?
Yes, I can mention that in Glendora, they do have a stated policy about when the meetings will be tabled over. I believe it's 11 p.m. They start at 7 p.m.
A little late, microphone. 11 p.m. At Glendora. Are there any other responses?
The mayor wants to speak with the barn.
I don't think I need that.
Okay.
News.
From this, people at home.
You got 2 minutes.
Excuse me, I give everyone ample time in my chambers with my counsel. Although Wendy Lau gives me that evil eye when I let people go a little too long. Generally speaking, when we have a subject, as Councilmember Lau will attest to, that we finish it. So especially with CCWs, I think we didn't get out of the council chambers until 10:30, 11. And then we had a closed session after that. So, and then during our times when I was running for mayor and some of the situations were going on, there were times when we had to use our community. What's our name of our? Oh gosh, no, our community center. We had to use our community center because there were so many people, and we had meetings that were 8 hours. But generally speaking, to answer your question, we finish our agenda. We do not put it off till another time unless it's something. Well, we did one with the CCW. We came back. So yes, we did. We did continue it to another meeting where we made some modifications on our fees. And that's when we made our decision, as the person had spoken, that we accepted it, but with psychological background testing. But generally speaking, we finish our agenda no matter how late it goes, because some of the stuff is pretty important. So we've really not ever had a situation where there was a time limit like 11 o'clock to continue it. So Councilmember Lau.
I would just like to address the question because I have my friend is on the city of Claremont's council. And so we've had this discussion about timeliness, accessibility, opportunity for people to be engaged. And I think that the city of Laverne thus far has been able to contain our meetings to a specific time frame so that we don't go too late. And I think that is in part to the city manager in particular, new to us, has really been looking forward to look at what are the agenda items coming up? What do we anticipate will encompass more public comment or more engagement so that we can try to balance that a little bit, because we are aware that for folks that have kids at home or have to wake up early to travel to work, it is an issue of accessibility and engagement with our constituents. And it's important to us that everybody who wants to be able to participate has an ability to do so that is open and transparent. And so I think that's something that we've looked at, but I've had many a conversation with my friend who says, you know, we joke that, and it's not really a joke, but no good decisions get made after a certain point, right? Because you're tired, staff is tired, the people that are engaging in that civic engagement are tired as well. So I think that's just something to think about as we progress. But I think for the city of Laverne thus far, we've been able to manage our agendas a little bit because we look forward to see what's coming up next.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you both. Are there any questions online that need to be responded to?
No, we did get a great job observers.
Yeah, well, in our program, thank you for your attention and attendance and for the observers doing such a good job. Thank you.